Tansi ni Temtek, Dallas Hunt Nitagasan, Nia Omeneheo Egwa Wapsewsipi Utinia. I will be reading some poetry from my upcoming collection entitled Creeland. I'm Cree from Treaty 8 territory in northern Alberta. Much of that informs the writing that I engage in, so just to provide a little bit of context there. Okay, the first poem I'll be reading is called Cree Dictionary. So the translation for joy in Cree is a fried bologna sandwich. The translation for bittersweet in Cree looks like a cow's and plow's payment 8 decades too late. The translation for patience in Cree is an auntie looking after 4 of her own children and 2 of her sisters. The translation for evil in Cree is the act of not calling your mother on a Sunday. The translation for expedition in Cree is traveling 20 minutes to the only gas station in Faust, Alberta to buy a Highguard pizza sub. The translation for success in Cree is executing the perfect frog splash on your younger brother. The Cree word for white man is unpaid child support. The translation for conflicted in Cree is your deep, steadfast love for country superstar Dwight Yoakam, or, depending on the regional dialect, George Jones, Patsy Cline, or Blue Rodeo. The Cree word for consolation is a Saskatoon berry bush in summertime. The translation for policeman in Cree is Mitzi Nisokan Kokos. The translation for genius in Cree is my kuka muttering in her sleep. The Cree word for poetry is your 4-year-old niece's cracked lips spilling out broken syllables of Nehiaoan between the gaps in her teeth. This poem is called A Prairie Fire That Wanders About, and it's for Treaty 8 and takes its name from a Sufjan Stevens song. When you arrive, dust and dirt commingle, petals of larkspur and blackknot fill lungs, choke seedlings, annual wildfires clear the rest. Home is a nest burrowed in the arms of cygnets on the one hand and in the teeth of a nodding donkey on the other. Reciprocal kitchen table kinship and reciprocating piston pumps. This is how we live here. Questions unwelcome. Every auntie in Treaty 8 hugs the same way. Thanks God. It's only 3 hours away from Edmonton if you drive fast enough, and depending on what you're running from. Welcome. I hope to die here, a place I've been running from my whole life, and yet whose grip carries my imagination, and whose landscapes I've been preparing to be buried in, if I'm lucky, my whole life. Bury me in clear-cut territories, in hearts that nourish. There's no place to eat, sleep, eat otherwise. I'm here, I shout to no one, and no one minds. Home is when no one realizes when you're here and no one notices when you leave. The clouds here are bigger than anywhere else in the world. They nestle and hail. They blanket my face with gentle stones, accost me until I know, consent, and agree that I will perish here, a muddy puddle off Highway 2. This one is called Gininaskompton. Thank you to the families that feed us, soft-footed near trap lines and ambling for tree lines. Thank you for the hides and dry sinew that cracks between teeth and gently punctures the skin. Thank you to all the wolf willows and pin cherries that are just trying to make it to autumn intact, as we all so often are. And Gininaskompton a wow to all the uncles that try and the aunties that do. Though let's be clear that trying is not the same as doing. This poem is called I Only Tried to Break. Notui is a knock at the door best left unanswered, his ancestors a bruising cacophony, fists pelting hardwood, brutal messiahs demanding entry, their histories a battering ram, a cleaving through fragile door frames. He clamors, I only tried to break the door down to make a stone out of you. Chert, most likely, a set of stress, thrust vaulting, a focal point of pressurized slamming, deadbolts crumbling. Notui is a rapture at the door, a grim reaper in Fila track pants. I yell from the other side, I only want to be the air that slips between the gaps in your fingers, those eager hands quietly forming heavy fists. My peephole a glimpse into weathering debris, the debris he'll make out of me, deposition, the ebb and flow of small particles until sedimentation occurs and I'm at the bottom of an estuary, water passing over, gliding and soothing, carrying wounds to still lakes and crummy ponds. Hi, thank you.